During a family vacation that I paid $8,500 for, my daughter booked only 2 rooms. Neither of them was mine. I waited like a fool in the hotel lobby. No call, no message from her. Instead, the manager noticed me and whispered, "Come with me, you deserve it." The betrayal of my loved ones awakened a sense of justice that they did not expect. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. The drive down from La Jolla had taken 90 minutes, and my shoulders ached from gripping the wheel. I pulled my wheeled suitcase through the sliding doors of the Ocean View Resort, and the lobby opened before me like something from a magazine spread. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the Pacific, all that blue stretching to the horizon. Sunlight poured across marble floors. I paused to take it in, feeling something loosen in my chest. This was going to be good. This was going to heal things. I approached the reception desk with my confirmation number ready on my phone. $8,500. That's what this week had cost me, but I hadn't flinched when I transferred the money. Jennifer said she'd handle the booking details if I covered the expenses. Made sense. She was better with computers than I was. The receptionist smiled up at me, fingers poised over her keyboard. "Moreno. Truman. Moreno. There should be 3 rooms reserved." Her fingers danced across the keys. The smile held, but something shifted in her eyes. She clicked again, scrolled, her brow creased. "I'm sorry, sir. I'm showing 2 reservations under Jennifer Hayes. A family suite and a children's room. Are you perhaps listed under a different name?" The marble floor seemed to tilt slightly beneath my feet. "No. Check the payment records. I paid for everything." More clicking. She bit her lower lip, a gesture that made her look younger than she probably was. "The payment did come through, yes, but I'm only seeing these 2 rooms in our system. Perhaps there was an error when the booking was made. You might want to contact—" "Right, thank you." I stepped away from the desk, pulling my phone from my pocket. My hands felt clumsy as I dialed Jennifer's number. It rang 4 times, then her voicemail kicked in. "Hi, you've reached Jennifer. Leave a message." That cheerful lilt mocked me. I hung up without speaking and typed out a text instead. "I'm at the hotel. There's no room reserved for me. Call me." I stared at the screen. No response dots appeared, no indication she'd even seen the message. I looked up at the receptionist, who was now helping another guest, a young couple laughing about something. They took their key cards and walked past me toward the elevators, the woman's hand tucked into the man's back pocket. I found a leather armchair near the windows and sat down, my suitcase beside me like a faithful dog. The lobby hummed with activity. Families checked in, their children bouncing with vacation energy. An older couple argued playfully about dinner reservations. Everyone seemed to know exactly where they were going, exactly where they belonged. Minutes crawled by. I refreshed my phone. Nothing. I opened my email and scrolled through the confirmation messages. All the charges had gone through my account. I saw them clearly. Family suite, children's room, resort fees, parking validation. I remembered the conversation when Jennifer had asked for my credit card information, just to handle the booking logistics, Dad. You know how these websites are. Easier if I use one card for everything. I'd handed it over without question. Why would I question my own daughter? The lobby clock's hands moved with agonizing slowness. A bellhop wheeled a cart of luggage past me. A woman in a sundress and wide-brimmed hat glided by, trailing the scent of coconut sunscreen. I sat perfectly still, trying to look like I was waiting for someone rather than like I had nowhere to go. Had I ever actually seen the reservation confirmation? I scrolled back through my emails. Payment receipts, yes. But the actual booking details had gone to Jennifer's email. She'd sent me the dates, the resort name, check-in time, nothing more. My phone stayed silent. A man in a crisp navy suit approached me. His name tag read, Robert Chen, hotel manager. His face wore the professional concern of someone who'd noticed a problem. "Mr. Moreno, I'm Robert Chen. Is everything all right?" I looked up at him, this stranger with kind eyes, and felt something crack in my composure. "My daughter made the reservations. She forgot to book a room for me." The words sounded absurd even as I said them. Robert's jaw tightened. He didn't believe it was forgetfulness. I could see that calculation happening behind his eyes. "Forgot." He said it like he was tasting something bitter. Then his shoulders squared. Come with me, Mr. Moreno. You deserve better. He didn't wait for my response, just gestured toward the elevators. I stood, pulling my suitcase behind me, following this stranger who seemed angrier on my behalf than I'd managed to feel yet. We rode up in silence. The elevator dinged at the fourth floor. Robert led me down a hallway to room 417 and opened the door with a master key. The room was beautiful. King bed with crisp white linens, a sitting area with a cream-colored sofa, and that view, the entire western wall, was window, the Pacific spreading out like a promise. This is one of our best ocean view rooms, Robert said. He pressed the key card into my palm. This is on the house. Families should treat you better than strangers do. His words hung in the air between us. I tried to speak, to protest, to explain, but he shook his head. I've seen many things in the hotel business, but this... No. Please, enjoy your stay. He left before I could argue. The door clicked shut. I stood alone in that beautiful room with its ocean view and its expensive furnishings, all of it paid for by the compassion of someone who'd known me for 5 minutes. My phone sat silent on the bed where I'd tossed it. I walked to the window and looked out at the water, watching the waves roll in with their ancient rhythm. Other guests dotted the beach below, small figures in bright colors, families mostly, children running, parents chasing, everyone belonging to someone. I had spent years telling myself that Jennifer was just busy, just stressed, just overwhelmed with her own family. Young parents struggled. California was expensive. She needed help. That's what fathers did. They helped. But standing in that room, paid for by a stranger's kindness, I finally saw. Hours crawled by in that beautiful room. I watched the sun lower toward the Pacific, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold that I couldn't appreciate. The colors felt wasted on me. Around 6 in the evening, I heard voices from the lobby below, drifting up through my open balcony door. Jennifer's laugh, unmistakable even from 4 floors up. I took the elevator down. They were clustered near the reception desk, all 4 of them, returning from the beach judging by their tanned skin and the sand still clinging to the kids' legs. Beach bags hung from Dylan's shoulders. My grandchildren, Emma and Caleb, held half-melted ice cream cones, their faces sticky with chocolate. They looked happy. They looked like a family. Jennifer saw me first. Her face lit up with that bright smile I'd once loved unreservedly. "Dad, you made it. I was wondering when you'd get here." She hugged me briefly, smelling of salt and sunscreen. Emma glanced up from her ice cream, mumbled something that might have been hello, then returned her attention to her phone screen. Caleb didn't look up at all. Dylan stood 3 feet away, scrolling through his phone, and didn't acknowledge my presence. "Jennifer, why wasn't there a room reserved for me?" I kept my voice level, calm, reasonable. "Oh, Dad!" She waved her hand like she was brushing away a fly. "You're a grown man. I figured you'd handle your own room. We maxed out that card you gave us on our suite in the kids' room. Those ocean views aren't cheap." She laughed, actually laughed. "You used my card to book rooms for yourselves, but not for me? The suite was expensive. But anyway, you figured it out, right? You always do." She squeezed my arm affectionately. "Hey, listen, can you add another $2,000 to that card? I want to book some spa treatments. This place has the most amazing massage packages." The words came so easily from her mouth. No pause. No acknowledgement of what she'd just said. No recognition that leaving your father without a room reservation might be something worth apologizing for. Just straight to the next request. The next withdrawal from the bank of Dad. Dylan finally spoke, still not looking up from his screen. "These menu prices are crazy. You're paying for dinner, right, Truman?" Not Dad, not Mr. Moreno. Just Truman, like I was some guy they barely knew. Jennifer was already walking toward the restaurant, Dylan following. The kids trailed behind, still absorbed in their devices. I followed too, because what else was I going to do? This was supposed to be our family vacation, our time together. The hostess seated us near the windows. The view was spectacular. None of them looked at it. Jennifer and Dylan sat across from me, the kids at the end of the table. The server came by with menus and a warm smile. "Can I start you folks off with drinks?" Dylan ordered a craft beer. Jennifer wanted wine. I asked for water. The kids got sodas without asking permission from their parents. Permission wasn't required anymore. Nothing was required except my credit card. Jennifer launched into a detailed description of their day, speaking to Dylan like I wasn't there. So tomorrow we should definitely do South Ponto Beach in the morning. Then that coastal hike we read about. There's supposed to be this amazing seafood place in the village for dinner. Dylan nodded, still scrolling. Sounds good. That beach has better parking. I watched them use the word we over and over. The pronoun never included me. I thought we could visit the art galleries in the village tomorrow, I said, trying to wedge myself into their plans. There's supposed to be a wonderful collection of local... Oh, we've got our day all planned out. Jennifer didn't even look at me. You can do that yourself, can't you? You like that kind of thing anyway? Museums and art and all that. She said it like my interests were peculiar, like enjoying art was some quirky character flaw she'd learned to tolerate. Dylan set his phone down long enough to study the menu. Prime rib is $65. Lobster is $78. He was calculating, making sure I saw the prices, making sure I understood what this was going to cost. The server returned for our orders. Dylan got the prime rib. Jennifer ordered sea bass. The kids wanted burgers with truffle fries. I chose a chicken dish, the least expensive item I could find, though I wasn't hungry. While we waited for our food, Jennifer talked about the resort amenities, the pools, the hot tubs, the beach cabanas, everything she wanted to try, everything she wanted me to pay for. The spa has this couples massage, she said, reaching across the table to squeeze Dylan's hand. It's $400, but we deserve it. We've been so stressed with work. I sat there watching this performance, and my mind began cataloging the history. Not just this vacation, all of it. The wedding, $45,000. I'd paid for everything because Jennifer said Dylan's family couldn't contribute, and they didn't want to start their marriage in debt. Made sense at the time. The first rental deposit when they needed help. $15,000. Just temporary, she'd said, just until they got established. Dylan's car when his died, $28,000. A loan, supposedly. I'd never seen a payment. The grandchildren's private school tuition, $24,000 annually for the past 3 years. Essential, Jennifer insisted. Public schools were inadequate. The credit card I'd given her 3 years ago for emergencies. The charges averaged $1,500 to $3,000 a month. The emergencies never seemed to end. When was the last time Jennifer had called me without needing something? When was the last time she'd asked how I was doing, whether I needed anything, if I was lonely in that house that still smelled like Margaret's lavender sachets? Our food arrived. Dylan cut into his prime rib without comment. Jennifer took a photo of her sea bass before eating. The kids complained that their burgers were too big. Nobody asked if my chicken was good. The conversation flowed around me like water around a stone. They discussed their plans, their problems, their desires. I was present, but invisible. Needed, but not wanted. Emma asked if she could get a new tablet. Caleb wanted to know if they'd have time to visit the arcade. Jennifer assured them both that, yes, of course, Grandpa would make sure they got what they wanted. My name invoked like a credit limit. The check arrived. $320 for dinner. Jennifer slid it across the table without looking at it, without meeting my eyes. The gesture was so practiced, so automatic, that I understood this was how it always went. This was the role I played, the wallet, the resource, the ATM with a pulse. I pulled out my card and set it on the leather folder. The server returned, processed the payment, thanked me warmly. Her kindness felt exaggerated compared to the coldness across the table from me. "See you tomorrow, Dad. Thanks for dinner." Jennifer called this over her shoulder as they headed toward the elevators. No invitation to join them for a walk. No suggestion that we spend time together. Dylan didn't say anything at all. The kids were already arguing about something, their voices fading down the hallway. I signed the receipt, adding a generous tip, because the server had smiled at me like I was a person worth acknowledging. Then I walked back to my room, the one given to me by a stranger's pity, rather than my daughter's consideration. The ocean view that had seemed so beautiful that afternoon now felt empty. I sat on the edge of the bed, unable to sleep, despite the exhaustion weighing down my limbs. My mind wouldn't stop moving, wouldn't stop replaying, not just tonight, but years of nights like it. Every visit centered on what I could provide. Every phone call included a request. Every holiday, every birthday, every ordinary Tuesday, all of them came with a price tag attached. Down the hallway, I heard laughter. Their laughter. Jennifer's voice, Dylan's lower rumble, the kids squealing about something. They were together, having fun, enjoying their vacation. The vacation I'd paid for, and they were having that fun without me. I lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to those distant sounds of family joy. We were in the same building, separated by maybe 50 feet of hallway, but the distance felt infinite. The truth crystallized in the darkness with a clarity that felt almost physical. They hadn't forgotten to book my room. They never intended to include me at all. They wanted my money, not my presence. They needed my bank account, not my company. I was useful, not loved. For 7 years, since Margaret died and left me alone in our house, I had been telling myself that I was supporting my daughter through difficult times, that young families struggled, that I was being a good father. But lying there in the dark, listening to their distant laughter, I understood the truth. I wasn't supporting her. I never fell asleep that night. I watched the darkness fade from the window, the ocean turning from black to gray to blue as dawn crept across the water. By the time sunlight touched the waves, something inside me had shifted. I was still wearing yesterday's clothes. My eyes burned with exhaustion, but my mind felt sharper than it had in years. I'd spent the night cataloging the pattern. Every excuse I'd made for Jennifer. She's busy. She's stressed. Young families struggle financially in California. Dylan's career is demanding. The kids need stability. On and on, a litany of justifications I'd repeated so often they'd become truth. But they weren't truth. They were lies I'd told myself to avoid seeing what was right in front of me. I needed air, needed to think somewhere other than this hotel where my family slept down the hallway, comfortable in rooms I'd paid for, making plans that didn't include me. I laced up my walking shoes and left quietly, taking the stairs instead of the elevator. The beach stretched wide and empty in the early morning. Cool air off the Pacific carried the salt smell I'd always loved. A few joggers passed, earbuds in, focused on their pace. Seagulls wheeled overhead, their cries sharp in the stillness. I walked south along the sand, letting my architect's mind work the way it did with complex projects. Assess the situation, identify the problems, plan the solution. After 20 minutes, I spotted a small cafe, tucked between surf shops. Sunrise Brew, the hand-painted sign read. Warm light spilled through its windows. The smell of coffee pulled me inside. The space was cozy, walls decorated with local art, a handful of morning regulars scattered at small tables. I ordered coffee from a young woman with purple-streaked hair and kind eyes, then chose a seat by the window overlooking the water. That's when I noticed her. Silver hair pulled into a loose bun, elegant even in jeans and a linen shirt. She sat 2 tables over, sketching in a large pad, her hand moving with confident strokes. When she glanced up to study the light, our eyes met briefly. She smiled. "That's lovely light at this hour," she said, gesturing toward the window. "Are you an artist?" "Architect. Retired." The words came easily. I used to notice things like light and shadow. Forgot to for a while. Easy to forget when you're carrying heavy things. Something in her tone made me look at her more carefully. She set down her pencil and extended her hand across the gap between tables. "Barbara Winters. I own a gallery up the street." "Truman Moreno." Her handshake was firm. We fell into conversation naturally, the way strangers sometimes do in liminal spaces like cafes at dawn. She asked about architecture. I asked about her gallery. Coastal Light Gallery, she called it. We talked about design, about the particular quality of morning along this coast, about the art of paying attention. Then she asked why I was in Carlsbad, and I surprised myself by telling her the truth. Not the details, but the essence. Family vacation, except I'm not really part of the family, apparently. I expected platitudes. Poor you. I'm sure they didn't mean it. Instead, Barbara tilted her head and asked a simple question. Forgot to include you? Or chose not to remember? The distinction hit like a physical blow. I've been making excuses for her for years, I said quietly. Barbara nodded slowly. Family can be complicated. Sometimes the people who should value us most don't. She paused, considering her next words carefully. You know, Sometimes the best way to show people their mistake is to let them experience the consequences of their own choices. Not revenge. Consequences, not punishment. Natural results. We exchanged phone numbers before I left. She invited me to visit the gallery any time. Walking back toward the hotel, I felt something I hadn't felt in days. Not quite hope. More like possibility. The hotel lobby hummed with mid-morning activity when I returned. Jennifer and Dylan stood near the concierge desk, the kids in swimsuits and cover-ups, beach bags packed. Jennifer spotted me immediately. "Oh, good, Dad. Perfect timing." Her voice had that bright, cheerful tone that usually preceded a request. "We're heading to that coastal cave tour everyone raves about. It's $450 per person, so with the 5 of us, that's, let me see, $2,250 total. Can you put it on the—" "No." The single word hung in the air between us. Jennifer blinked. "What?" "No, I'm not paying for your excursion." Silence spread outward from our small group. Dylan finally looked up from his phone. Emma stopped scrolling. Even Caleb glanced over. "Dad, come on." Jennifer's laugh sounded forced. "We're on vacation. Don't be difficult." "You're on vacation. I'm here. There's a difference." I kept my voice level, calm. "Enjoy your day." I walked past them toward the elevators. Behind me, Jennifer's voice rose with genuine shock. "Are you serious right now?" Dylan's irritation cut through clearer. "What's his problem?" The elevator doors closed on their confused faces. My hand trembled slightly as I pressed the button for the 4th floor. Adrenaline, fear, something that felt dangerously close to exhilaration. 7 years since Margaret died. 7 years of saying yes to everything. The first no felt like jumping off a cliff. But cliffs have bottoms, and sometimes hitting bottom is how you learn to climb. Back in my room, I pulled out my phone and opened the banking app. Found the additional credit card linked to my account, the one Jennifer used. The emergency card I'd given her 3 years ago. I scrolled through the usage history. August, 2047. July, 3104s. June, 2006-35s. Emergency after emergency after emergency, none of them actual emergencies. My finger hovered over the button labeled Report Card Lost, Stolen. One click would block the card immediately. One click would cut off that steady stream of money. One click would cause immediate conflict, angry phone calls, accusations. I remembered Barbara's words, consequences of their own choices. I remembered sitting in the hotel lobby yesterday with my suitcase, forgotten. I clicked the button. The screen confirmed. Card blocked. New card will arrive in 7-10 business days. I set the phone down carefully, as if it might explode. Within an hour, Jennifer would try to use that card, and I didn't wait for Jennifer's reaction to the blocked card. By early afternoon, I'd checked out of the ocean view, driven the 30 minutes south to La Jolla, and walked into my empty house with clear purpose. The Spanish-style home Margaret and I had bought 40 years ago sat on a hillside with views of the Pacific. Worth about $1.2 million now, more house than I needed alone, but it held our memories in every room. I went straight to my office. The space was organized the way I'd organized job sites for 30 years. Filing cabinets labeled and color-coded, shelves holding rolled architectural drawings, a wide desk with good light. I pulled out 7 years of financial documents, bank statements, canceled checks, credit card bills, Venmo transfers, wire confirmations, everything since Margaret died in October 2018. I spread the papers across the desk and opened Excel on my computer. If you're going to solve a problem, first you have to understand its scope. That's what I'd told young architects working under me. Measure twice, cut once, know what you're dealing with. I created columns. Date, amount, recipient, category, repaid, YN. Then I began entering data, starting with that first request 2 weeks after the funeral. Jennifer needed help with rent, $2,000. Temporary, she'd said, just until she caught up. The pattern emerged immediately as I worked chronologically forward. Requests that started small escalated yearly. Every loan marked temporary, none marked repaid. Hours passed. The sun tracked across the sky. I barely noticed. Wedding, June 2019, $45,000. Everything. Venue, catering, flowers, photographer. Dylan's family contributed nothing. Jennifer said they couldn't afford it, and she didn't want to start married life in debt. Made sense at the time. Rental deposit assistance, September 2020, $15,000. They needed a bigger place for the baby. First and last month, security deposit. California real estate was brutal. Of course I helped. Dylan's car loan, March 2021, $28,000. His Toyota died. He needed reliable transportation for work. Jennifer asked if I could loan them the money. Loan, she'd said specifically. They'd pay me back monthly. I never saw a payment. Private school tuition. This one ran deep. Started September 2021 when Emma entered first grade. $24,000 annually. Jennifer insisted public schools weren't adequate. The grandchildren deserved the best education. I paid for 4 years now. Emma in 5th grade, Caleb in 3rd. The credit card, that insidious emergency card I'd given Jennifer in 2022. The monthly charges averaged $2,500 to $3,000 for 3 years. I did the math, roughly $90,000, in emergencies that ranged from groceries to designer handbags to weekend getaways. Then there were the miscellaneous loans, the ones that blurred together. Home repairs, $8,000. Medical bills, $12,000. Furniture, $5,000. Car repairs, $3,500. Various crises, $7,000 here, $4,000 there. Each one presented as one-time, essential, temporary. I entered the last transaction, this vacation, $8,500, and moved my cursor to the cell at the bottom of the amount column. Clicked the sum formula. The number appeared, $387,000. I stared at it. Refreshed the calculation thinking I'd made an error. The number didn't change. $387,000. In 7 years, my daughter had taken $387,000 from me. I pulled up my retirement account statement. Current balance, $850,000. The house, $1.2 million. At the current rate of withdrawal, averaging $55,000 annually, Jennifer would drain my liquid savings in 15 years. I was 63. That money needed to last 30 years, maybe more. She wasn't just using me. She was destroying my future security. This wasn't family support. This was financial abuse. My phone started ringing around 4 in the afternoon. Jennifer, I let it go to voicemail. It rang again 5 minutes later. Again. The voicemails piled up. I listened to them in sequence, hearing the progression. First message, her voice tight with anger. Dad, the card isn't working. I'm standing in the middle of Nordstrom with a shopping cart. Call me back immediately. Second message, accusatory. I don't know what you think you're proving. This is childish and cruel. Do you know how embarrassing it was when my card declined? Third message, the next morning. Threatening. Fine. You want to play this game? We can play. But don't expect us to come running when you need help in your old age. Fourth message, late afternoon. The tone shifting to manipulation. Dad, please. I'm sorry if I upset you somehow. Can we talk? The kids miss you. They don't understand why Grandpa is being like this. Dylan left one message, his voice dripping with condescension. Truman, this is ridiculous. You're acting like a petulant child. Jennifer is in tears. Whatever point you're trying to make, you've made it. Now fix the card situation and let's move forward like adults. I listened to each message twice, feeling the familiar pull of old guilt patterns, the trained response to smooth things over, to apologize, to make it right. But the Excel spreadsheet sat open in front of me. $387,000. I typed out a single text message. We'll talk when I'm ready, not before. Then I muted the conversation. The next day I took concrete steps. Called a professional appraiser. Yes, $1.2 million was accurate for current market value. Researched estate planning attorneys in San Diego. Read reviews carefully. I needed someone experienced, firm, not sentimental about family. Patricia Gomez. 20 years experience specializing in family law and estate planning. Her reviews were consistent. Professional. No nonsense. Protects clients. Her website bio stated simply, I help clients protect their assets and make clear-headed decisions about their legacy. I called her office and booked a consultation for August 18th, 3 days away. What type of legal matter? The secretary asked. Estate planning. I need to change my will. And has there been a significant life change prompting this review? I looked at the spreadsheet still open on my screen. Yes, you could say that. That evening, a text came through from Barbara. Hope your day improved. Gallery open until 8 if you'd like to visit. The invitation pleased me more than I expected. I drove back up to Carlsbad, found the Coastal Light Gallery tucked on a side street near the village. The space was intimate, well curated, featuring local artists working in various media. Barbara showed me around, discussing each piece with genuine knowledge and enthusiasm. We ended up in a small office area, in back, with comfortable chairs and coffee. The conversation flowed easily. Eventually, I told her about my brother, Barbara said quietly. After my husband died 4 years ago, we'd built the gallery together, David and I. But my brother thought because we shared DNA, he deserved half of it. What did you do? I hired an excellent attorney and fought. Took 8 months, but I won. She met my eyes steadily. Sometimes protecting yourself from family is the hardest and most necessary thing you'll do. We talked for 2 hours, made plans for dinner the following evening. When I left, she walked me to my car and squeezed my hand briefly. You're doing the right thing, she said. Trust yourself. Driving home along the coast highway, watching the sunset paint the water in shades of orange and copper, I realized I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not just hope. Something more like possibility. The attorney appointment was scheduled for the 18th. On the 16th, Barbara and I met for dinner at a small Italian place she knew in the village. Candlelight, white tablecloths, the kind of restaurant where conversations could go deep without interruption. We were seated in a corner booth, away from other diners. The server brought wine, took our orders, disappeared. Barbara looked at me across the table, her expression open and patient. How are you handling everything? I imagine it's not easy. I'd planned to keep it surface level. Instead, I found myself telling her the complete story. Not just the hotel incident, but 7 years of financial exploitation. The wedding, the car, the school tuition, the emergency credit card that funded luxuries, the vacation I'd paid for but wasn't invited to join. I made a spreadsheet, I said. 7 years, $387,000. Barbara didn't gasp or offer empty sympathy. She simply nodded, absorbing the information. You documented everything. I'm an architect. We measure it precisely. What will you do with that information? Change my will. Tomorrow, actually. I have an attorney appointment. She reached across the table and touched my hand briefly. Not pity. Recognition. After Marcus died, my brother filed a claim against the estate, she said quietly. Said I didn't deserve the gallery building. But you built it together? Exactly. Together, over 20 years. But he thought blood meant automatic entitlement. She took a sip of wine. 8 months in court. I won, but we haven't spoken since. Do you regret fighting? Not once. Her eyes held mine. Some relationships aren't worth the price they demand. And sometimes the people who should protect you are the ones you need protection from. The server brought our meals. We ate slowly, the conversation shifting to easier topics. Art, architecture, the particular quality of light along this stretch of coast. But underneath ran that current of understanding. 2 people who'd learned the same hard lesson about family. The next afternoon, I was home reviewing the documents Patricia would need when my doorbell rang. Unexpected. I wasn't expecting anyone. Through the window, I saw them. Jennifer, Dylan, both children standing on my front porch. Jennifer's face wore a carefully composed expression. Reasonable, concerned, the picture of a daughter worried about her father. I hesitated, hand on the doorknob. Every instinct said to turn them away. But Emma and Caleb were there, and whatever their parents had done, the kids were innocent. I opened the door. Dad! Jennifer's voice was controlled, measured. We need to talk. Can we come in? I stepped aside. They filed into my living room. The Spanish tile Margaret and I had chosen 40 years ago. The ocean view through floor-to-ceiling windows, the architectural details from my career, built into every corner. My home, my space, now invaded. Jennifer sat on the sofa, Dylan standing near the door like a sentinel. The children perched uncomfortably on the edges of chairs, sensing the tension crackling through the room. Dad, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Jennifer's tone was perfectly modulated, hurt but not angry. Confused, but not accusatory. She'd rehearsed this. We're family. We should be able to work this out without... Whatever this is you're doing. I said nothing. Let her fill the silence. I know you're upset about the hotel room situation. That was a genuine mistake. And maybe we've been too dependent on your generosity. We can talk about that. We can start fresh. Notice what she didn't say. No apology. No acknowledgement of taking $387,000. Just managing my emotions, smoothing things over, getting back to the status quo where money flowed in one direction. Then she played what she clearly thought was her trump card. Dad, Mom would have wanted you to take care of us. She'd be heartbroken seeing this division in our family. The room froze. My wife, Margaret, dead 7 years, beautiful soul who'd taught our daughter about kindness and integrity, and Jennifer was using her memory as a manipulation tool. Something inside me snapped. Don't! My voice came out louder than I'd intended, sharper than I'd spoken in years. Don't you dare use your mother's memory to justify your greed. Jennifer startled. She'd never seen me truly angry. Your mother would be ashamed, I continued, my voice shaking with controlled fury. She taught you better than this. She taught you that love isn't transactional. That family doesn't mean endless taking. Dad, I don't know what you... $387,000. I cut her off. That's what you've taken from me in 7 years. Every loan that was never repaid. Every emergency that became a regular expense. Every time you used that credit card for luxuries while calling it necessity. I documented it all. The color drained from Jennifer's face. She recovered quickly, shifting tactics with practiced ease. Those were gifts. You gave them willingly. You can't just decide later that they were given out of love. You took them out of entitlement. There's a difference. Dylan stepped forward, arms crossed. And anyway, as a father, you're obligated to help your... I'm obligated to nothing. I looked at him directly. You're adults with income. You've just proven I'm making the right choice. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. Not genuine grief. Tactical crying. Designed to make me feel guilty. How can you do this? You're really choosing some stranger over your own family? I'm choosing myself. That's what you never understood. I'm a person, not a checkbook. She gathered the children, still crying, herding them toward the door. Dylan's mask slipped, revealing the anger underneath. Fine. His voice was cold. But don't come crying when you need us. See how you manage alone in old age. The threat hung in the air, but it didn't weaken me. It validated every decision I'd made. People who threaten abandonment as leverage aren't family. They're hostage takers. The door closed behind them. I stood in the sudden quiet of my house, adrenaline fading, hands slightly shaking. But underneath the physical reaction, certainty. Absolute certainty that I was doing the right thing. My phone buzzed. Text from Barbara. Thinking of you. Coffee tomorrow before your appointment? I smiled. Someone caring without agenda. Someone present without demands. Perfect, I typed back. That evening, I laid out the folder Patricia had requested. Bank statements, will documents, property deeds. Everything organized, everything clear. Tomorrow would change. The attorney's office occupied the 15th floor of a glass tower in downtown San Diego. I'd driven the 20 minutes from La Jolla that morning with my folder of documents, my evidence, my 7 years of being someone's retirement fund. The reception area was quietly professional. Legal magazines, filtered water, the hush of serious business being conducted. A young woman at the desk smiled and told me Patricia would be right with me. Patricia Gomez emerged 3 minutes later. 52, professional attire, firm handshake, direct eye contact. No wasted pleasantries. Mr. Moreno, thank you for being so prompt. Come on back. Her office had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking San Diego Bay. Law degrees on the wall. Stanford. 20 years with the California Bar. Family photos on the credenza. An organized desk that suggested efficiency without coldness. She gestured to a chair across from her desk and got straight to it. Tell me what's brought you here. I need to change my will. My daughter has been taking advantage of me financially for years. I want to ensure my assets are protected. How much financial support have you provided? $387,000 over 7 years. None of it repaid. Patricia's expression didn't change. She'd seen this before. And you documented this? I slid the spreadsheet across her desk. I'm an architect. I document everything. She studied it for several minutes, occasionally making notes. When she looked up, her tone was matter-of-fact. "Mr. Moreno, in California, you have absolute discretion over your estate. Your daughter is an adult with her own income. She has zero legal claim to your assets, during your life or after your death." Hearing it stated so plainly by a legal expert sent relief flooding through me. But she says that, as her father, I'm obligated to. She's wrong. Patricia's tone was firm but not unkind. You're obligated to minor children, not grown adults who've been exploiting you. What I'm concerned about is protecting you from a potential will contest. She explained the risks. Jennifer might claim undue influence, that someone manipulated me into changing my will, or diminished capacity, that I wasn't thinking clearly. Which is why we'll document your complete mental competency. Medical evaluation, witness statements, clear paper trail showing you made these decisions independently and rationally. We spent the next hour discussing strategy. Patricia recommended a comprehensive approach: revocable living trust, new will, durable power of attorney, healthcare directive. The trust would protect assets, avoid probate, and be harder to contest. Cost for the complete package is $4,500. Documents will be ready in 1 week. I didn't hesitate. Let's do everything. How would you like your estate distributed? I'd thought about this carefully during those sleepless hours after the hotel debacle. 70% to a charitable foundation supporting architectural education, in my wife's name. 20% to an educational trust for my grandchildren. They can't access it until age 25, managed by an independent trustee. 10% for personal items and smaller charitable donations. And your daughter? Nothing directly. She's had enough. Patricia made notes without judgment. Some clients worry this seems vindictive. It's not vindictive. It's protective. She's proven what she does with money I give her. This way my grandchildren have a future, and my wife's memory supports something meaningful. What if your daughter tries to contest? Patricia leaned back in her chair. With proper documentation, she has maybe a 5% chance of success, and it would cost her $50,000 to $100,000 in legal fees to try. So the cost alone would deter her. Most contests collapse when people realize the math doesn't work. Spending $75,000 to maybe get a piece of an estate? Not rational, especially when we have evidence of her financial exploitation. Her paralegal brought in forms. We began the paperwork. Property addresses, account numbers, beneficiary organizations. I named the trust after Margaret, the Margaret Moreno Educational Foundation, the Grandchildren's Fund, Hayes Family Education Fund. The irony wasn't lost on me. Jennifer's married name on money she couldn't touch. 2 hours later, Patricia walked me to the elevator. You're doing the right thing, Mr. Moreno. I see many people wait until it's too late. My daughter will be furious. Your daughter is already taking advantage. At least now you're protecting what you've earned. The elevator descended. I walked out into San Diego sunshine, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Not happiness exactly. Something more like freedom. I drove back to La Jolla, mind processing everything. My phone buzzed at a red light. Text from Barbara. How did it go? Better than expected. Meet tonight. Beach walk at sunset. Perfect. Early evening found us at La Jolla shores, the beach nearly empty as the sun lowered toward the Pacific. We walked barefoot in the sand, waves washing over our feet. Barbara took my hand naturally. No announcement, just comfort. Tell me about the meeting. I explained Patricia's plan. The trust. The protection. The grandchildren's education fund they couldn't access until they were mature enough to appreciate it. How do you feel? She asked. I paused, considering. Free. I feel free. She squeezed my hand. We walked in comfortable silence for a while. She told me about her gallery, good sales that week, a new artist interested in showing. Normal conversation, normal concerns. I realized this was what a relationship should feel like. Easy, balanced. No transactions, just presence. We stopped where the beach curved, watching the sun touch the horizon, orange and gold spreading across the water like spilled paint. You know what I like about you? Barbara said. What? You finally chose yourself. That takes real courage. She kissed me then, brief, gentle, promising. The kind of kiss that says beginning, not ending. Walking back as darkness fell, her hand warm in mine, I understood something I hadn't in 7 years. I wasn't alone, and I didn't have to. I had one day of peace. One perfect day where the legal wheels turned quietly in Patricia's office, where Barbara and I texted throughout the afternoon, where I actually believed the hard part was over. Then Jennifer found out. My phone erupted with calls on the morning of August 19th. Jennifer's number flashing across the screen again and again. I let the first few go to voicemail, maintaining the boundary I'd established. But curiosity eventually won. I listened to the messages in sequence, hearing her tone shift with each one. Dad, someone saw your car at Patricia Gomez's office downtown. That's an estate planning attorney. What's going on? Call me back. The next message, sharper. Call me right now. We need to talk about this immediately. Then, I can't believe you'd go behind my back like this. After everything we've been through together? The final one, her voice cold and controlled. Fine. If this is how you want to play it, we can play. Small city effect. Someone who knew both of us had spotted my car or seen me entering that glass tower. In San Diego, degrees of separation collapsed quickly. Jennifer's panic was palpable, even through recorded voice. She knew exactly what an estate planning attorney meant. Dylan left one message, too, his voice dripping with condescension. This is incredibly disrespectful, Truman. You owe us a conversation. I didn't call back. Let them sit with their uncertainty. Instead, I sent a single text. My legal affairs are my business. Nothing has changed in how I feel about my grandchildren. I deliberately didn't mention Jennifer or Dylan by name. The doorbell rang mid-morning on August 20th. I wasn't expecting anyone. Through the window, I saw them arranged on my front porch like a portrait. Jennifer, Dylan, and both children. Emma and Caleb held handmade cards covered in crayon drawings and glitter. The boy's card read, "We love you, Grandpa," in careful child handwriting. The girls showed stick figures holding hands. The word family spelled with an extra I. I opened the door. The children looked uncomfortable, glancing at their parents for cues. This was scripted, rehearsed. They were being used as emotional weapons. My heart broke, not from the manipulation, but from watching children weaponized by adults who should protect them. I knelt to their eye level. Thank you for these beautiful cards. I love you both very much. Then to Jennifer and Dylan, the children can come in. You two wait here. Jennifer started to protest. My look stopped her. Emma and Caleb came inside. I closed the door on their parents and led the kids to the kitchen. Gave them cookies and juice. Asked about school starting soon. Their favorite subjects. What they'd done that summer. Normal grandfather questions. They relaxed, became real children instead of props. Mom said you were sad and needed cheering up, the boy mentioned between bites. She said making cards would make you feel better, the girl added. My heart ached for them, innocent, unaware they were being used as leverage in an adult war. After 30 minutes, I walked them back to the front door where Jennifer and Dylan waited on the porch, trying to look patient. I've always loved you, I said, making sure the children heard, and I will always love my grandchildren. But money isn't love, and I won't let those things be confused anymore. Jennifer's face cycled through shock, anger, calculation. Dylan took the kids' hands, led them toward the car. Jennifer lingered. You're really doing this? I really am. I closed the door. Final. Decisive. The sound of the latch clicking felt like punctuation. The attack came the next afternoon, August 21st. My phone buzzed with a text from an old colleague. Hey, saw something on Facebook that might be about you? Everything okay? I rarely use Facebook, but I logged into my dormant account and searched Dylan's name. His profile was public. The post had been up for 2 hours. Dylan's words were carefully chosen. Sometimes you realize family members aren't who you thought. When an elderly parent suddenly turns against their own children and grandchildren because of financial disagreements, you wonder what happened to values like family loyalty and generosity. We've supported him through his grief, included him in our lives, and now he's chosen to punish us for not being wealthy enough to refuse help he offered freely. It's heartbreaking watching selfishness disguised as independence. The comments section was already active. Families should support each other. How sad. Praying for you guys. Mixed with, maybe there's two sides to this, and why air this publicly? No names mentioned, but anyone who knew us would recognize the situation immediately. Dylan had positioned himself as victim, Me as cruel miser. Public humiliation, reputation attack, sympathy manipulation. My hands shook reading it. Every instinct screamed to respond, to defend myself, to post my spreadsheet showing $387,000 in exploitation. Before I could act, my phone rang. Barbara. I saw it, she said without preamble. Someone sent it to me. Don't respond. He's lying to everyone. People will think I'm... People who know you won't believe it. People who don't know you don't matter. But I could show the evidence, prove what really... And then what? You trade your dignity for a Facebook fight? Her voice was firm but kind. Don't play on their field, Truman. This is what abusers do when they're losing control. They try to destroy your reputation because they can't control you anymore. I gripped the phone. So I just do nothing? You do exactly what you've been doing. You protect yourself legally. You live your life. His post says more about him than it does about you. After we hung up, I sat with the discomfort of not defending myself. It went against every instinct. I wanted to fight back, wanted to prove the truth, wanted vindication, but Barbara was right. Responding would make it a debate. Silence made it irrelevant. Over the next few hours, I received calls from true friends, people checking if I was okay. I gave the same simple response to each. Family disagreement. I'm fine. Thank you for caring. No elaboration, no justification, no explanation. Short answers denied oxygen to the gossip fire. Late evening, I met Barbara for a walk through La Jolla Cove. The tourist area was quiet, shops closing, ocean sounds filling the spaces between our words. She took my arm. How are you holding up? Better than I expected. What you said helped. My brother did something similar during our legal battle. Posted vague things about greedy family members. I responded once. Biggest mistake. Gave him ammunition for months. How did you finally handle it? Stopped reading his posts. Focused on my life, my gallery, my real friends. Eventually his posts just looked sad and desperate. We walked in comfortable silence. My phone stayed quiet. Perhaps Jennifer and Dylan had exhausted their tactics for the moment. Perhaps they were regrouping. Above us, the August sky darkened toward night. Tomorrow, Patricia would finish the legal documents. In 3 days, I'd sign them. And then, the signing ceremony was scheduled for 10 o'clock the next morning. I dressed carefully, not for drama, but for respect. What I was about to do deserved formality. Patricia had called it a ceremony deliberately. Some moments in life need to be marked. Her conference room overlooked San Diego Bay. The long table held documents arranged with precision. New will, revocable living trust, durable power of attorney, advance healthcare directive. Everything that would protect my future. Patricia reviewed each page one final time, explaining key provisions. Present were the notary public, a professional woman in her 50s, and 2 witnesses from Patricia's office. Standard practice. Witnesses couldn't be beneficiaries, had to be neutral parties. The formality felt appropriate. This wasn't casual. This was life-changing protection. Mr. Moreno, before we proceed, I need verbal confirmation. Patricia's voice was clear and measured. Are you executing these documents of your own free will without coercion? Completely voluntary. This is entirely my decision. The notary asked required questions. Full legal name, date of birth, confirmation of identity. She examined my driver's license, photocopied it for her records. Patricia walked me through each document. This is your will, stating distribution of your estate. This is your trust, which will hold your assets. This is your power of attorney, designating who can make decisions if you're incapacitated. I initialed each page, signed the signature pages. The pen felt weighted with significance. Each stroke of ink another step toward protection. The witnesses signed their names. The notary pressed her official seal onto each document. The sound was solid, final, irreversibly real. Patricia collected the documents. These are now legally binding. Copies will be filed appropriately. I'll keep the originals in our vault. Handshakes all around. Professional completion. I handed Patricia a check for $4,500 I'd prepared in advance. Transaction complete. After the witnesses left, Patricia showed me another document. Letter of intent, she explained. Not legally binding, but explanatory. I drafted this based on our conversations. It's factual. unemotional. She read portions aloud. Over 7 years, I provided $387,000 in financial support, including wedding costs, housing assistance, vehicle purchase, education expenses, and credit card charges. I gave these funds out of love and family obligation, expecting nothing in return. However, the incident at Ocean View Resort made clear I'm valued as a financial resource rather than as a father. I have provided for my grandchildren's education through an irrevocable trust. The remainder of my estate will fund architectural education scholarships in memory of my late wife, Margaret. This decision is final and made with full mental capacity. My story, reduced to legal language, but the truth preserved. Should I send this to Jennifer now? I asked. Let her know what I've done? My advice? Wait. If she contests the will, this becomes powerful evidence of your clear thinking. If she accepts reality, you may never need it. I agreed. The letter went into the file, ready if needed, but not deployed yet. Walking to the elevator, Patricia offered final words. You did the right thing. I drove home to La Jolla. The house was quiet, familiar, mine. I sat in my home office where weeks ago I'd created that Excel spreadsheet. That spreadsheet had started everything, making the invisible visible. Now, legal documents sat in Patricia's vault, protection in place, future secured. My phone was silent. No calls from Jennifer since the grandchildren's visit. Perhaps she was planning her next move. Perhaps accepting reality. Either way, I was protected now. I looked at family photos on the bookshelf, Margaret smiling, Jennifer as a child, the grandchildren at various ages. I wondered what Margaret would think, hoped she'd understand. She'd taught Jennifer to be independent, strong, self-sufficient. Those lessons apparently hadn't taken. My phone buzzed. Text from Barbara. How did it go? Done. Official. Signed. Sealed. Filed. Feeling okay about it? Feeling free, is that wrong? That's exactly right. Come for dinner tonight, 7. I'll be there. Barbara's house was a small craftsman near her gallery, artistic touches everywhere. She was cooking when I arrived. Nothing fancy, just pasta with fresh vegetables and good wine. Domestic intimacy. Her moving around the kitchen. Me setting the table. Easy conversation. Different from restaurants or beach walks. This was her private space. The invitation felt significant. Over dinner, I told her about the ceremony, the letter of intent, Patricia's final advice. Barbara shared her own experience with legal finalization after her brother's contest. After we ate, we moved to her small patio, overlooking the garden. Twilight, string lights creating warm glow, the sound of the ocean a few blocks away. I've been watching you these past weeks, Barbara said. You've changed, have I? You're becoming who you always could have been, not diminished by loss, but refined by it. Strong, clear, independent. I don't feel strong. I feel like I'm stumbling through. Strength isn't never falling. It's getting back up and choosing differently. Comfortable silence settled between us. I haven't felt this way about someone since Margaret died, I admitted. I didn't think I would again. Are you feeling guilty? I thought I would, but I don't. I think I have permission, from myself, maybe from Margaret, to be happy again. Barbara moved closer, took my hand. What do you want, Truman? Right now, not someday. This, you. Time to see where this goes. Then let's take that time. She kissed me, deeper than the beach kiss, more certain, more committed. Later, sitting close on the patio, Barbara asked, What happens now? With Jennifer? I don't know. She might accept it. She might fight. Either way, I'm protected. And us? What happens with us? I smiled. I'd like to find out. No rush, no pressure, just see where this goes. I'd like that too. We talked about possibilities, travel, her gallery expansion, my potential consulting work. Conversations not about problems, but about potential. The shift from surviving to living. Above us, stars appeared in the clearing sky. August ending, September approaching. Somewhere Jennifer might be planning her next move. But sitting there with Barbara's hand in mine, I realized I waited one day before making the call. Not to delay the inevitable, but to let the peace of that evening with Barbara settle into my bones. On the morning of the 24th, I texted Jennifer, We need to talk. Tomorrow, 2 o'clock, my house. Just you and Dylan. Her response came within seconds. Finally. She thought I'd changed my mind. I hadn't. I spent that day preparing. Not emotionally, that work was done, but practically. I made copies of the documents. Will, trust, letter of intent. Placed them in a folder on the coffee table. Cleaned the house because Clarity deserved clean space. Barbara called in the afternoon. Are you sure about this? I'm sure. They deserve to hear it directly. See the documents. No surprises later when I'm gone. I'll be nearby if you need me. Just call. The next day, August 25th, I waited in my living room, Spanish tile floors reflecting afternoon light, architectural details I'd designed decades ago, ocean visible through floor-to-ceiling windows, my home, my space, my rules. The doorbell rang at 2 o'clock exactly. Jennifer and Dylan arrived, dressed nicely, like they were performing reconciliation. Jennifer's expression was relieved, slightly smug. She thought she'd won. Dylan was quieter, assessing, but his posture remained aggressive. I opened the door without warmth or hostility. Please sit down. They arranged themselves on the sofa. Jennifer started immediately. Dad, I'm so glad you called. We've all said things we didn't mean, and I think if we just... I raised my hand. Let me speak first. I reached for the folder on the coffee table, took out the documents, slid copies across to each of them. These are copies. You should read them. Jennifer picked up the papers. Started reading. First page. Last will and testament of Truman Eduardo Moreno. She scanned quickly, looking for her name. Her face changed. Confusion, then disbelief, then shock. Color drained away. Dylan leaned over, read over her shoulder. His jaw tightened. Silence stretched. The only sound was pages rustling as they read through the documents. Charitable Foundation, 70%. Educational Trust for Grandchildren, 20%. Personal items and remaining, 10%. Jennifer Hayes and Dylan Hayes, nothing. Jennifer's voice cracked. You can't do this. Not a question. A statement of denial. I already have, I said calmly. These were signed on the 22nd. Witnessed, notarized, filed with my attorney. Dylan stood abruptly. We'll contest this. You're clearly under someone's influence. That woman, Barbara, she's manipulated you. I remained seated, voice level. I underwent full medical evaluation, cognitive assessment, capacity testing. I'm completely sound. My attorney anticipated this accusation. Jennifer's voice rose. Dad, this is insane. We're your family. Then act like it. The words landed hard. Silence. I continued measured and calm. I documented everything. 7 years, $387,000. The spreadsheet is in the folder if you'd like to see it. Jennifer didn't look. She knew the numbers. You had everything, I said. My love, my support, financial help beyond reason. But it wasn't enough. You wanted more without giving anything back, not even respect. My voice stayed level. No anger, just truth. The hotel was symbolic. You literally left me without a place in your lives while taking my money to pay for your rooms. Jennifer tried tears. Eyes squeezed shut, face contorted. But actual tears wouldn't come. Her body refused to produce them, the manipulation technique failing in real time. Dylan's voice turned aggressive. You'll regret this. Who's going to take care of you when you're old and sick? We sure as hell won't. The threat was meant to intimidate, to force reconsideration. I'll hire professional care if needed, I said, or rely on friends who value me as a person, not a bank account. Jennifer's voice rose higher. Friends? You mean her? Some woman you barely know? I've known Barbara 6 weeks. In that time, she's shown me more genuine care than you have in 7 years. The statement landed. Jennifer flinched. This is unbelievable, Dylan said. After everything we've done? What have you done? I asked. Name one thing you've given me that wasn't a demand for more. Silence. They couldn't answer. You've taken money, time, energy. You used my grief over your mother to manipulate me. You weaponized your own children. Dylan posted lies on social media. And Jennifer, you invoked your mother's memory to justify greed. Each accusation was factual, not emotional. Jennifer stood. We're leaving. They moved toward the door, Dylan's hand on the handle. I spoke. Wait. They turned. Hope flickered in Jennifer's eyes. The financial decision is final. Non-negotiable. I paused. But if someday you want to build a relationship based on respect instead of money, I'm open to that conversation. The grandchildren will have their education funded. You can't touch it, but they'll be provided for. Jennifer's face hardened. So we're supposed to be grateful you're providing for your own grandchildren? You're supposed to understand that love isn't currency. Dylan pulled the door open. Come on, Jen. We're done here. At the doorway, Jennifer turned back. You'll hear from our attorney. That's your choice. It will cost you $50,000 to $100,000 and you'll lose. But if you want to spend money proving I'm right about your priorities, go ahead. The door closed, not slammed, but firmly shut. I stood in the quiet house, documents still spread on the coffee table. My phone sat nearby. I reached for it, typed a message to Barbara. It's done. Before I could send, my finger hovered. I sent the message. 2 words. It's done. Barbara replied immediately. Come for breakfast tomorrow. The next morning, I woke to sunlight streaming through windows and the absence of weight I'd carried for years. The confrontation was behind me. August 26th. Time to live. I went through my morning routine with new awareness. Coffee tasted better. Sunlight looked brighter. Not that the world had changed. I dressed casually. Jeans, comfortable shirt. Not for business or confrontation, just for living. My phone showed no messages from Jennifer. I hadn't expected any. One message from Barbara. No rush, whenever you're ready, with her gallery address. I drove to Carlsbad with the windows down, taking the coast highway, ocean on my right. The same route I'd driven for confrontations weeks ago, but everything felt different. Coastal Light Gallery, where her world was, where she created. She was outside arranging a sandwich board. Local artists, opening next week. The gallery interior held white walls, track lighting, her artistic touches throughout, local artwork being installed for the upcoming show. Barbara stood on a stepladder, painting walls, casual clothes, paint in her hair. She grinned when she saw me. Perfect timing. I need someone who understands spatial relationships. We worked together. I advised on piece placement using an architect's eye. This painting needs more space around it. The frame competes with that sculpture. See? This is why I need you. Easy collaboration. My expertise valued, her vision respected. We hung paintings, adjusted lighting, stepped back to assess. Natural rhythm. She deferred to my spatial judgment. I deferred to her artistic intuition. Coffee break on the gallery's back patio. Simple sandwiches, iced tea, comfortable silence. I've been thinking about expanding, Barbara said casually. Opening a second gallery in San Diego. That's ambitious. I'd need help with the space design. Someone who understands flow and light. She looked at me directly. Interested? I smiled. I thought I was retired. Maybe there's work worth coming back for. Not a job offer. A partnership invitation. That afternoon, we drove to the beach where we'd first met. Carlsbad Beach. Sunrise Brew Cafe, still there. We walked along the shore barefoot, waves washing over our feet. 6 weeks ago, you were sitting in that cafe, looking lost, Barbara said. I was lost. Took a stranger's kindness to show me that. I wasn't kind. I just saw someone worth knowing. We walked to our original meeting spot, the same table visible through the cafe window. Symbolic, the journey from there to here, stranger to partner. We sat on the beach wall, watched surfers, families, normal life continuing around us. My phone buzzed. Text message from Jennifer. Dad, we need to talk. Really talk. I showed Barbara the message. What will you do? I considered. Someday, maybe. When she's ready to talk without demanding. But not today. I typed, not ready yet. When you are, I'll listen. I didn't block her. Left the door open, but on my terms. That's fair, Barbara said. Today I choose myself. Choose us. Choose living. Barbara kissed me. Not our first kiss, but the deepest commitment yet. The sun lowered toward the Pacific. Golden hour light, everything glowing. I spent 7 years thinking revenge meant making them hurt, I said. And now? Revenge was taking my life back, not making them suffer, making myself free. We watched the sunset in silence. The sky transformed. Orange, pink, purple, deep blue. Same ocean I'd looked at my whole life, but seeing it differently now. Not as backdrop to loss, but as promise of continuity. What do you want, Truman? Barbara asked quietly. For the future? This. You. Work that matters. Relationships that respect. Time to build something new instead of funding someone else's life. That sounds like a plan. There's more. I took her hand. I want you in that plan. Officially. Permanently. Not a proposal, too soon for that, but a declaration of intent. Spring wedding? Barbara asked. You're getting ahead of the blueprint. Someone has to. You architects are methodical. We laughed. Easy, genuine, no weight. Looking back now from the distance of months, I can see how the pieces fell into place. Jennifer and Dylan never filed the contest. Exactly as Patricia predicted. The cost was too high, chances too low. Pride wasn't enough fuel for $75,000 in legal fees. They found full-time work. Jennifer in real estate, Dylan stayed in IT. They learned to live within their means, not by choice initially, but by necessity. Jennifer texts occasionally. Photos of the grandchildren. Brief updates. I respond warmly but briefly. They're growing beautifully. No money is requested. None is offered. The relationship exists, damaged but not destroyed, on new terms. The door remains open for reconciliation if she's ready to respect boundaries. Barbara and I set a wedding date for spring 2026. Small ceremony, close friends. My current project is designing her second gallery in San Diego's Little Italy. The work brings joy, creating space for art, for community, for beauty. Using my skills not to fund exploitation, but to build something meaningful. The grandchildren's education fund grows untouched. They'll have opportunities, I ensured. The Margaret Moreno Educational Foundation is established. First scholarships awarded this fall. My legacy isn't money to an ungrateful daughter, but opportunities for deserving students. I lost $387,000 in 7 years. But I gained myself. I gained Barbara. I gained a future worth living. Standing in the gallery space we're designing together, sunlight streaming through windows we positioned just right, Barbara's hand in mine, I understand something fundamental. The best revenge is living well, and I'm living very well indeed.